The following is an encore presentation of stories from the Dooralong Transformation Centre. James is still in the studio here. James from the Dooralong Transformation Centre. We've already said good morning to him once, but good morning to you again, James.
Good morning, Phil. How are you?
I'm very well. You were telling us before the break that you have been at Dooralong for, how long was it?
Just under 3 months now.
So you've not been there an awful long time, have you?
No.
So, turning the clock back, for the benefit of the listeners, I can see James is a fairly young guy, so bear this in mind, listeners. James is a fairly young guy. But if we turn the clocks back for you, James, when did an addiction, whether it be drugs or alcohol, when did it first become a problem for you?
It started as a recreational, experimental thing on a weekend after a game of footy when I was about 13 years old, and I was with all my mates, and we went to a party, and everyone was drinking and having a good time, and it seemed like the norm thing to do at the time. So I got drunk for the first time, and I enjoyed it. I loved it. I fell in love, really, and from there on, it just turned into a ongoing thing. Every weekend, every second weekend, we'd go to a party or go meet up at the park and have some drinks after footy, and I'd always be the one that would be getting blind drunk and carrying on a treat. And
so all your mates, they were drinking, but they had it more under control than you?
The couple of them were carrying on with me as well, but I was always taking it to the next level every time.
Sounds as if you became addicted very, very quickly.
Yeah, I had a pretty addictive personality. Like, if I found something I loved, I put all my time and effort into it.
You just go to extremes.
Yeah.
Did Mum notice what was happening for you?
At first, she didn't really know. She was working away down in Sydney every weekend, trying to be the breadwinner, which she was, and she didn't know. So I was staying at mates' houses, and their parents let their sons drink, and they could handle their alcohol, and I guess I sort of did too, but I would take it to the next level on certain occasions. So
we've talked to guys from Dooralong who've been honesty enough to admit, or to tell us that they were drinking to blot out really unpleasant things that were happening to them in their family life, but that doesn't sound as if it was the case for you.
Not really. I did have an undiagnosed schizophrenia illness that I didn't realise I had until just recently. So I guess I could have been blocking that out, but everything was pretty sweet and dandy
at home.
Yeah. I had a pretty good life growing up as a kid.
And so these were deliberate choices that you made.
Peer pressure and myself.
Cultural expectation.
That's it. Yeah.
So what's it doing to your schoolings? Because you say you started at 13. It's going to have an effect on that, isn't it?
I was really only at school to be there in the present,
just to get the tick in the present column.
That's it. I wasn't applying myself. I was a smart kid, but I didn't apply myself, and I probably could have gone on to go to uni or something if I really wanted to. Did
it remain alcohol, or did you progress to other stronger drugs maybe?
Once I finished school in year 12, when I was about 18 years old, I started experimenting with marijuana and going to festivals, and then experimenting with ecstasy and other types of drugs, cocaine, and that was my new thing I was in love with, going to festivals and riding myself off as bad as I could and trying to have as much fun as I could.
You make it sound as if you know now, perhaps you knew at the time, that you sound as if you're out of control.
Yeah, for sure I was. I was in control when I wasn't taking...
Under the influence. Yeah. But under the influence, you just lose control.
Yeah, completely.
And you just do things to excess.
Yeah.
What sort of effect is this having on your life?
I got really, really depressed because I started having really big highs and really low lows, and I eventually stopped working. I had a casual job that I was working weekly, and I stopped going. I ended up in the psych ward at Dubbo a couple of times, in the mental health ward. trying to kill myself a couple of times because I was in such a low state of mind that hated everything and everyone, and I couldn't control the come down of the drugs and alcohol that I was taking.
So again, and we've picked this up from other guys, it sounds as if you didn't really like yourself.
No, I didn't.
You knew there was an issue there, but you didn't know how to deal with it.
Yeah, I didn't really know myself, to be honest. I didn't know who I was or who I was becoming, or I didn't have any direction in my life.
So hopefully you're getting some direction now from Dooralong, but how did Dooralong make an appearance in your life?
Well, last year I got into a bit of trouble and I had a violent episode at a nightclub.
Under the influence of drugs?
Under the influence of drugs and alcohol, and I got into a brawl, and I got injured and some other people got injured, and I found myself in jail about a month after that, and I was looking to get out of jail because it was such a scary place and a thing for me where I'd never experienced before, and I talked to my lawyer and to my mum whilst I was in jail, and they said there's one option we can take, and that's to go into rehab. And there was a private rehab that would accept me and instantly, and they took me on board, and it was only a short-term rehab for about 3 or 4 weeks. And when I got there, I got introduced to all this rehab stuff and the 12 steps and to God and everything, really, and it sort of shook me at first, but I was very positive and I was taking it on board, and I even took it on board to go to the next level and get myself into a long-term rehab as soon as I finished that rehab. And the day I left the private rehab, I went into William Booth House, the Salvation Army rehab they have in Sydney at Surrey Hills.
Yeah.
And I stayed there for about 6 months, and I was going okay, but there was a lot of young people in there that didn't really want to be there, and I was hanging around with the wrong crowd again, and I ended up going on weekend leave and went back to Dubbo, and I went and hung around with some old friends, and I ended up getting back on the alcohol and the drugs, and it got me kicked out of William Booth, and then court was coming up in a couple of months, and I got back into the private rehab again for about a month or so. And then court came up and I got a 12-month sentence to be sent to jail. So I went into jail for about a month and a half at Silverwater, and I put an appeals application in, and I was very lucky. I went into district court and I got the 12-month sentence changed to 2 suspended sentences for a 10-month period and a 7-month period. And I thought to myself, you know, now I better get myself back into rehab and give it a real crack, and it's a safe environment for me while I have these suspended sentences as well, you know. So
yeah, you were really trying, weren't you?
I was.
These rehabs, the 6 months, and the private rehab that you went to.
Yeah. I was trying my best, but I don't think I was ready emotionally, mentally, spiritually.
Well, that was going to be my next question. Why did they not work for you, do you think? Or were they... No, you tell me. I shouldn't be putting words in your mouth.
I guess the main reason was because one of the reasons was I had this court thing hanging over my head, and I was always thinking every day when I woke up, what's the point in doing this? I'm just going to end up in jail anyway, do you know what I mean? And I felt really hopeless, and I felt like I was going nowhere. And also there was the crowd of people that were in William Booth didn't really help. I mean, there was a lot of young people that were always neg raving and always wanting to go out and go have a sneaky beer when we were out of the building and stuff like that, and I was getting involved with stuff like that, and it wasn't really helping my recovery, and I don't think I was ready mentally or emotionally. Looking back now, do you see those as failures, or do you see them more as stepping stones towards Dooralong? Definitely failures, but also stepping stones. I did learn something from each rehab I was in, and I picked stuff up along the way, and if I didn't do that then, I wouldn't be the person I am now, and I wouldn't be ready to do what I'm doing now. So
And in March of this year, is it that you went to Dooralong?
No, I went to jail in March.
Yeah.
Went in for about a month and a half, got out, and then spent a month back in Dubbo at Mum's. I ended up back on the drugs and alcohol, and then I got onto Dooralong, and I got myself booked in, and I went there. I went into William Booth House for detox at about June 19th, the 19th of June.
Yeah, and straight from William Booth detox to Dooralong.
Yep.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a roller coaster ride for you, hasn't
mate,
it?
there's been some ups and downs, I'll tell you now.
Yeah. But you're there. Eventually, you made it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to be there. Yeah.
You're happy to be there. You feel this time it's making a difference.
Oh, it feels like it's the right time. I don't know. I can't really explain it, but everything's fell into place. And I mean, at first when I got to Dooralong, I was very scared because it was a new environment, and on the way there I was even thinking, turn around, I don't want to go here. But I'm so glad that I'm where I'm at, where I'm now, and I stayed the course.
Talking to James this morning from the Dooralong Transformation Centre, we looked at a bit of his backstory and the challenges he's faced with his addictions, but also the determination he seems to have, persevering with rehab centres and detoxes and private clinics. Eventually we got to that point in our discussion where he had arrived at Dooralong. Did it feel different than all the other centres you've been to, James?
At first it was scary, like I said before, and I didn't really want to be there. I guess facing all the new faces and meeting all the new people, and I was a bit scared, but after a week or two I really got settled in, and there was a really good bunch of people there that were really supportive and helping, and I think that was the big difference this time around, and just the way the centre is, how beautiful the landscape and how positive everyone is there, and
because before that you were in William Booth, which is right in the middle of Sydney, isn't it, with all the associated noise and hustle and bustle.
Yeah, the hustle and bustle's crazy in the city, man. Like, there's just so much going on, and
now you're at Dooralong and all you hear are the birds.
Yeah, that's it, and the kangaroos on your doorstep every morning, feeding them a bit of bread. I mean, we shouldn't be doing that, but it's fun too.
Yeah, wildlife, it just makes you appreciate it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So a totally different experience, or totally different environment really for you.
Yeah, well, it felt a bit like home because I'm from the country, you know what I mean? So it's good to have wildlife and a bit of space to myself, and a bit of peace and clarity, really.
And what programs are you doing there which you think will really be helpful to you, beneficial for you for the rest of your life?
Well, I've already done a fair few programs in level 1. We've talked about conflict resolution and assertiveness and all the positive things. I mean, even grief, which was a really big one for me. But I'm actually studying a couple of courses at Dooralong that they do on site. I completed a Cert 2 in community services. I've already completed it because I was doing it at William Booth, and the same lady, Rowena at TLK, does William Booth and also does Dooralong, which was good. She had all my old paperwork.
Yeah, just able to pick that up and continue with it.
Yeah, so I finished that off, and I started a barista's course that we're doing out there. We've got a little cafe down at Dooralong where we've got the coffee machines, and we're very lucky that Danes has supported us, and they've given us all the
good coffee beans,
all the best coffee beans, mate.
The best. We don't get those. We have instant. Oh no, we've got pot coffee. Well, not too bad. So this is a totally different experience for you, really, by the sounds of it. Much more positive experience.
Yeah. There's a lot of positive energy out there, and just everything about it, like having a weekly roster to go to work every day, and going to a nice environment where the chefs, because I work in the kitchen, and one of the chefs, Tony, he's a recovering alcoholic himself, and he's 29 years clean, so there's a lot of
gives you encouragement, doesn't it?
That
sort of thing. How long have you been at Dooralong now?
About 3 months.
So before you got to Dooralong, you realised, of course, perhaps from your stay at William Booth, that this was going to be a Christian centre run by the Salvation Army.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts about that?
Well, when I was at William Booth, we had to go to church twice a week. I wasn't a big fan of it at all, and I didn't like it at all. I was very
negative,
yeah. Not
Yeah.
not accepting, yeah.
Yeah.
And this time around, I knew that I had to, one, have God in my life, or a God of my own understanding, to do the steps and to become a grateful recovering addict. And also, I think the first chapel night that I had at Dooralong was a real how do you say it, hair standing up moment on my arms. I got all this goosebumps, yeah, and it was really hit home with me with some of the songs that were playing, like Chainbreaker and all that type of stuff, and it really hit home hard and
spoke to you.
Yeah, it spoke to me. I had a God moment.
Yeah.
And from that day forward, I was open-minded and willing and honest, and I just tried my hardest to accept everything that was being put on my platter, and it's really helped me. And one of the guys out there, Chris, he one of the workers, he's been really supportive and helping on my journey, and we've been doing a Christianity course for the last 6 or 7 weeks now, and it was all about David and Goliath.
Okay.
Joe Giglio.
Oh yes. Yes.
DVD class. It was really good and helping. Yeah. It's been opening my mind to Jesus and God, and it's been really helpful.
So it's been a bit of an eye opener for you.
Oh, for sure. It's a new leaf in my book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not quite so boring and irrelevant as you thought.
No, it's not irritable anymore. It's not negative. It's all positive, and I'm enjoying it, and I'm actually joining along and doing all the things that are required of me, and I'm loving it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And why wouldn't you? Because it's like having another. It's added value, isn't it? Because I know you get all the great counselling and the psychiatrists and the psychology side of things. That's all provided. But when you sort of add God into that mix, it just sort of
it changes everything.
Yeah, it does.
I've got someone high and mighty on my side that I can turn to whenever I want.
Yeah, and somebody who's through all the bad times as well, because everyone's going to have bad times in their life, but and we will still go through them, but knowing that somebody is there with you can make a huge difference.
For sure, yeah, it's changed everything.
So you're enjoying some of the Salvation Army Church services on a Sunday?
Yeah, well, I've got a regular home church that I go to, which is East Lakes, Belmont, Salvo's called.
Yeah.
Bernie and I've forgotten his wife's name.
Yeah.
That's all right.
That's okay.
Sorry for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've been a great help, and the church out there, and there's a lot of young people in the band, and they've been helpful.
And that's one of those things for when, I know many months away yet, but when you do sort of walk through the gates of Dooralong for the last time, when you get out of Dooralong, if you've got a church family in your life, that can make such a big difference.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Also, I also started the last couple of weeks doing Bunnells Bay Home Church of a Monday night, and that's been a great help too.
Yeah.
Yeah, just getting connected with good people and getting to spread God's word, and
things are happening in your life, aren't they?
Oh, for sure, man.
Really good things in the last 3 months.
Yeah.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Massive change.
Massive change.
Yeah.
There we go. Michael W. Smith with Live the Life. And that's what James is doing, I guess, out at Dooralong at the moment. He's only been there for 3 months, but amazing things have happened in his life in just those short 3 months. The most amazing of which, I guess, is he's accepted God. Before that, he had very negative attitudes towards God and the church, but that's done a 180-degree turn, and now he's very positive. He goes to church every Sunday. He started a home group. He goes to chapel night, and God is part of your life now, James.
Oh, for sure. He's with me every day. As soon as I wake up, I go and have a coffee, and I have a little prayer with God.
And speak to him first thing in the morning.
I thank him for all the things that he's done in my life, and I I guess I realised that he's always been there, but I wasn't accepting, and I didn't know that he was there.
Yeah. I think that's true, isn't it? I know it's a cliche, but they do say that we can walk away. He never walks away from us, but sometimes we walk away from him.
Yeah,
and so, but the good thing is, all we've got to do is turn around and walk back to him, and he's still there.
Yeah, that's it.
And the better part is that, through his grace, he just accepts us, even when we've stuffed up, even though we've messed up. He doesn't hold it against us, which is terrific. So what happens for James next? How much longer do you think you're going to be at Dooralong? It's going to be at least another 3 months, I would have thought.
Oh yeah, at least another 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
I'm planning to go into the halfway house I have here at Erina. Spend 6 months there, and hopefully now that I've been doing this barista's course, I'll be certified to create some lovely coffees for some people around the area.
Right, well, let us know where you are and we'll all pile in.
Oh, for sure.
One thing occurred to me, James, and I'm sure you're an intelligent guy, it will have occurred to you, that you said earlier while we were chatting that whilst you were doing another sort of rehab program at William Booth, you went back to Dubbo, you got mixed up with all your old friends and you had a relapse. Does that affect where you're going to go when you leave Dooralong, do you think?
Well, yeah, I've already come to the conclusion that I can't go back to Dubbo, and I'm not ready as of yet, and I probably won't be for quite some time.
Yeah.
Even though my mum is out there on the farm struggling and she needs some moral support and also physical help on the farm, I've let her know that I'm just not ready, and she's quite okay with that. And I guess I'm just going to have to set up my foundation here and build a nice healthy foundation so that I can eventually go back and help out on the farm, but it won't be for quite some time yet. I'm planning on staying on the Central Coast and creating a new life here until I make that move back to Dubbo.
It's a very sort of realistic sort of thing to do, isn't it? And I'm sure Mum understands.
Oh, she does. She's very supportive,
Yeah. And Mum's been there through thick and thin, has she?
Oh, she's been through everything, mate. I've dragged her through hell and back, but she's always there for me, and I'm so grateful that I have her in my life. So
she, as well as you perhaps having time when you went to see her in Sydney, but she comes and visits you at Dooralong?
She came and visited me at Dooralong a couple of times, but now I'm at a stage where I'll get weekend leave, and we're starting to make plans every second week when I get my weekend leave and spend some quality time together and catching up, making up for missed time.
Do you ever wake up of a morning, Dooralong, and sort of have to pinch yourself that your life could have changed around so quickly and so comprehensively?
What do you mean by that?
Well, 3 months ago, you were in addiction. You didn't know whether Dooralong was going to work. You perhaps were doubting whether you were going to have a future. But here you are. You've been at Dooralong 3 months. You've done all these life lessons at Dooralong. You've accepted God into your life. You're making plans for the future. It's just, in such a short period of time, it's an amazing transformation.
Yeah, I guess it's pretty crazy how far I've come really in such short time, but I'm not looking back and thinking what if or how or why. I'm just accepting what is, and I'm moving forward, and I'm loving every minute of it. I still have my rough days, as everyone does, but with all the support that I have on my back, and with God in my life, and such a safe place and beautiful place where I am, I can get through the tough times now a lot easier. And I guess I do look back now thinking about it, thinking, wow, what could have been if I didn't come to Dooralong, and where I could have gone. But I'm so grateful and so gracious that I've made the leap, and I'm at where I'm at. So
thanks be to God.
Yeah, that's it.
Exactly.
And to Dooralong.
And to Dooralong, hands and feet of Jesus, I think some of those people in Dooralong, aren't they?
That's for sure.
Exactly. Look, it's been a real privilege, a real honour to speak to you this morning, James. You've been listening to an encore presentation of the Dooralong stories, which can be heard live every Wednesday at 10 a.m. and repeated 8 p.m. Sunday and 1 a.m. Wednesday, right here on 94.9 rema.cc.